Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Tyler. I'm the owner of Lidwell Creative, and a few weeks ago, over on our Instagram page, I asked you guys to submit your questions for this AMA video. So I took your questions, wrote them down here on my phone. I have a list, and I'm gonna be answering them anonymously from which the order that I received them. So we're just gonna go ahead and get right into it. First question, you into feet? Not necessarily. I know some people that are, not to kink shame. If that's your thing, go for it, but I'm not into feet. Are you originally from Arizona? I'm not originally from Arizona. I'm from a small town called Altoona, Pennsylvania. What's your favorite movie in terms of shots, color grade, cinematography? I surprisingly, as a filmmaker, do not watch a lot of movies or TV shows, but I guess if I had to say, I'm gonna go with The Joker. Best advice you could give to someone starting out. This is tricky because there's so many things I could tell you, but I would say just to be patient. It's not gonna happen overnight. I mean, in the beginning, your videos are gonna be not so great, but you know, it's all a learning process, so just stay patient. How do you manage to get clients now, and how was it in the beginning? So now a lot of my work is through referrals of other photographers or brands I've done work with in the past. So that's how I kind of get clients now. I still cold call occasionally, but it's not as much as it was in the beginning, which leads me to the beginning. It was terrible. Don't know how to describe that in other words, but.
Just keep keeping on.
What's your favorite food? Pizza. I mean, there's so many different toppings you can put on it. There's so many different styles. Call me basic, but I like pizza. Marry, kill. John Travolta, Dr. Dre, Lil Yachty. I'm gonna Lil Yachty, I wanna marry Dr. Dre, and I'm gonna kill John Travolta. What lenses and lighting do you consider essential for product filmmaking? A macro lens. So anywhere between the 90 to 105 range for a macro lens is solid. It's pretty much like the only lens that I use. I have the Sigma 105mm macro lens. I'll leave that linked below. And then I recommend the newer SL60W for lighting. And obviously, as you continue to progress as a filmmaker, you're gonna upgrade your kit and, you know, get more expensive lights, or whatever the project calls for, you'll have the right tools for the job. So yeah. Upgrading to an ARRI anytime soon? Probably not. I could only see myself upgrading to the Kronos camera in the future. What's the biggest lesson you've learned from running your business? Biggest lesson I've learned from running my business is that it's not all about social media. I think in the beginning, everyone has this concept of, oh, if I post my work and get a whole bunch of likes and a whole bunch of followers, then I'll eventually start getting clients. And it doesn't work that way. You need to constantly be putting yourself out there to potential clients or even fellow filmmakers that you look up to. It just takes a lot of work, and no one wants to put in the work sometimes. So biggest lesson and takeaway that I could say is just keep putting yourself out there, because you're bound to run into the right conversation or the right project that it's just gonna like snowball from there. So yeah, just keep promoting yourself and keep an open mind. Recommended camera movement equipment for someone who's just starting out. For me personally, and what I do, I like to move the slider manually, and in most cases, I don't need an Edelkrone or a Rhino. So I recommend the Zeppin Micro 2 Plus. And on the cheaper side of things, you can get a newer slider. I'll leave it linked below in the description, but I use that slider even to this day. What did you eat for breakfast? I had a Belvita cinnamon thingy. I don't really know what they're called. I think they're like the Belvita cinnamon biscuits. Who do you text the most? My fiance, Bethany. Who is your crush? Well, you probably know the answer to that. Do you love your life? I do genuinely love my life. There are points, you know, where you get a little sad, but that's everybody's life. Everyone goes through it. You can't really have one without the other. But in terms of like loving my life and loving what I do, people who are in it, yes, very much so. What's your favorite TV show? Again, can't really like think of anything off the top of my head. Ozark? What did you do before starting a filmmaking career? So I was actually previously in the craft beer industry. Before I moved to Arizona, I was doing marketing and sales for a brewery called ARRI Brewing Company. And then whenever I moved out here to Arizona, I did the same thing for another brewery. And then I essentially got let go from that company, but it's the best thing that could have happened because now I'm in this seat talking to you. You should post more selfies. Well, that's not a question, it's more of a recommendation, but we'll see. One thing you dislike about working for yourself? The tax stuff, I guess. Does anyone actually like doing that? Have you done drugs? I've done my fair share of coffee this morning. Do you have any piercings? I don't have any piercings, but I have 3 tattoos. Do you still do work for free? I still do. I said do. If a brand came to me and they're like, hey, let's collab. I'll send you a product for free and you can create commercials around that. I'm not gonna say yes to that because it hurts the industry and I'm at a place in my career where I can, you know, say no to things. So if I was to create a spec commercial though, for free on my own terms, I'd go out and get the product and create a concept around it and then use that to my portfolio. If a brand did like it and wanted to talk to me about future opportunities, then sure, I'm open to it, but don't be accepting product for free. It just hurts the industry. And I know in the beginning when you're first starting out, it can kind of feel like this brand wants to work with me, but it's not. They're just taking advantage of you and getting free content out of you. So don't do that. I did it once before, never again. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? I don't know. The video production industry is great right now because video is so important, but things could change. Mark Kelly here, humbly asking for you to please add your name. Mark Kelly, I'm f***ing filming a video. Get the hell out of here. Okay, where were we? I don't know. I mean, if AI hasn't taken over my job, hopefully still doing this and progressing my craft and yeah, just continuing to do the video thing. Are you religious? I'm not religious. Sony or Canon? Do you watch our videos? Obviously Sony. How many years before you went full-time? So I went full-time relatively quick. I picked up a camera and then 2 years from that point, I was full-time. How do you deal with the haters? You just don't pay attention to them. If you give them what they want to hear, they're just going to keep feeding to the fire. So if anything, if you are responding to the haters, this is the thing that I've liked to do recently is if I get a troll on a post, I just simply say, thanks for the engagement. Mountain vacay or beach vacay? Although I love the beach, I'm gonna have to say mountain vacay. Weirdest work request you've ever had? When I was starting out, I had this guy come to me and he wanted me to help in filming a funeral. So I didn't end up doing it because, yeah, it just didn't feel right. Not to knock anyone who does that, but for me personally, I just didn't feel comfortable. Where do you go when you get downtime? I go to the mountains and I pet moss. Are you nervous in starting a YouTube channel? Not really. I mean, there's a sense where I get nervous putting myself out there, but at the same time, it's like everything I've done in my life, you know, you're gonna fail and you're gonna fail hard, but the good part is once you get to a certain place, you get more comfortable and that traction keeps going and things are starting to take off. So I'm not too nervous. First camera, the Sony a6500. What LUTs do you use, if any? So for studio work where I'm trying to get super accurate colors, I use the Leaming LUT by Paul Leaming. And then if I'm shooting something outdoors, I use Joel Famularo. He has this pack called Phantom LUTs, and he has an ARRI emulation pack and then a film emulation pack. So I kind of use those interchangeably. Next spec project. I don't know. I have a lot of client work coming up, so it's gonna be a little bit before I start planning that out, but I think coffee looks interesting. I mean, everyone shoots coffee, but I haven't really had my stab at it to where my skill set is now. I first started And I did shoot like a nitro cold brew commercial, but looks like total garbage. How old are you? I am 29. What's one thing you wish you knew when you first started out? Again, this is kind of a similar question to the one that I answered previously, but it's just gonna take a lot of time to get to a place where you feel super confident with your abilities, and not only your abilities, but how you can navigate interaction between a potential client. So yeah, it's just gonna take a lot of patience. And I don't believe in like the whole hustle mentality. You need to sleep, you need to like take care of yourself. But that being said, don't give up, because I've saw so many people who just have a good thing and I see potential where they're just like, nope, I'm done. So you just gotta stick with it. Beer or whiskey? So I actually didn't used to like whiskey, and I've started to enjoy it a lot more recently, but I'm gonna have to go with beer given my background in craft beer. Do you like your work? I generally do like my work. There's still occasions though where I look back even a week ago from a commercial I shot, and I'm like, dude, you lit that terribly. Why do your colors look like that? You speed ramp that and it does not flow. That sound effect is too loud. So it does happen, but looking back to even where I was 2 years ago is a huge jump in skill set. So I do like my work. What's your onboarding process look like with a new client? Typically goes, they sign off on a contract, we set up a strategy meeting. In that strategy meeting, we talk about everything involved in the making of the production. So what do you want the commercial to look like? Are there any brands that you're trying to go off of? You know, things like that to really make sure you're on the same page. So after the strategy meeting, I'll then send out a questionnaire form for them to fill out, just to make sure that everything we talked about in the meeting was established, so that way it's in writing, so they can't go back on it. And then from that questionnaire, once I get it back, I start developing a pre-production treatment, which includes a mood board, shot list, basically anything that I need to do to get to the point of starting the production. So then they'll sign off on that, ship me product, I plan out a production day, we shoot the thing, bada bing, bada boom, and then it's on to post-production. From post-production, send the content off. They'll have a chance to review, make any changes if they need to, and then everything's ready to be shared with the world. Recommended backdrops. I have a few backdrops that I recommend. For paper, Savage Seamless is great. They have a nice assortment of different colors. But if you're gonna be making a mess, splashing stuff around, you're gonna need vinyl. And for that, I recommend club backdrops. They're super solid. They have a bunch of different textures, colors, or say you're working with a brand and you need to get those colors dialed into exactly what their colors are. You can take the hue code and plug it into Club Backdrop's website, and then you can just order it, and it matches every single time. So those are the two that I use primarily. And the last question, what are you looking forward to in coming months? I am looking forward to taking it easy as much as I can. I have a bunch of client work coming up, so it's gonna get pretty hectic, but after that, for the rest of the year, it's gonna be pretty open. So making more YouTube videos, more spec projects, basically things that I want to do. And I'm just happy to be in a place to where I can take some time off. So yeah, that's the end of the questions. If you did find this video helpful or informative, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And if you had a question and didn't make it in this video, leave it below, I'll be sure to answer it. Or if you even want to connect with me over on Instagram, I'm completely open to starting a conversation. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next one.